Here's a simple no BS guide to shear cutting. We're going to turn this mop into this trendy modern flow look. Let's go. Alright, we want to start out with fully saturated hair. That'll give us the most control, and it'll be the easiest to work with while we're cutting these longer men's cuts. Now we want to find the swirl on the back of our client's head. That'll be where we base our sectioning off of throughout the haircut. I'm going to take the tip of my comb, put it in the center of the swirl, and push it straight to their natural growth pattern in the front. And I'll do that on both sides. Now when I separate the top from the sides, I follow the natural growth pattern. On some clients, that pattern sits a little closer to the center, so you'll have some extra hair that wants to fall into the sides instead of the top. To fix that, I take a small section from the ear up to the true recession point. That makes sure everything that should be part of the top is included and keeps the shape balanced. Next, I separate the sides from the back using the mastoid bone as my guide. This keeps everything organized, especially since we're using different techniques on each section. And we'll just do the exact same thing on the other side. Now into the back, and this is what gives the haircut its shape. I'm pulling everything straight out at 90 degrees to create a square layer. This removes weight through the middle while keeping the shape full. I start by taking a vertical guide right in the center of the back. This sets the length of the rest of the cut. I hold each section straight out at a consistent elevation using the previous cut section as my guide. This ensures the layers are even and balanced. Each section I cut builds that shape and removes weight, creating the foundation for that flow and movement we're after. As you can see, I'm taking off about 2 inches of hair. This is enough to create movement and flow within the haircut. I'm working in clean sections, make sure not to go any wider than a comb's width on every section. This will keep every section an even length, and you won't see any crazy peaks when you're cross-checking. Now remember to always bring a piece of your last section into your next section so you have a guide for every section. This will keep you consistent throughout the cut. It's wild because a lot of people will kind of make fun of you for being a section god, but in all reality, this is going to make the haircut go faster, and it's going to make the end result a lot cleaner. And that's the key to these shear cuts. We want to stay efficient, but we don't want to sacrifice quality for speed. I think there's a happy balance between the two. Now this is a common mistake that I see with barbers when they're doing shear cuts. They'll end up picking up a section and they'll cut it and then they'll immediately drop that section. And what we do when we do that is we kind of lose the elevation that we were holding at and we kind of lose our line of cut. So you want to make sure that whenever you're cutting, you cut, keep holding on to that section, comb the next section into your fingers, and then make another cut, and so on and so forth. And just keep doing that as you go down each individual section. You sometimes end up seeing a lot of barbers, they don't really want to learn how to do these shear cuts, and they think that it's, lame or whatever, but in reality, this just kind of makes you a more versatile barber. It doesn't limit you to being only able to do fades. Like, fades are cool, and I mean, honestly, you can go anywhere and find someone that can do a fade, but certain clients, they care more about the shape of their cut rather than how blurry the fade is. So if you're unable to give them that look that they're wanting, they're just gonna move on and go to a different barber. And you're leaving money on the table. So I would say try to be as versatile as you can. Learn every different texture, every different style, and just try to become the best barber you can. It's definitely something you hear from your clients that have these longer cuts. They're always worried about going to a barber, or even going to, a salon or whatever, and getting their hair chopped off, and then they gotta wait another 3 months for it to get back to the length they had it. And so they end up being pretty scared about going to a new barber to get a haircut. But once you get those clients and you show them that you can do those cuts, they're gonna end up staying with you. And those clients are often some of the higher paying clients, so you definitely want to keep those ones around. And these cuts, honestly, you can get them done in 30 minutes. These aren't cuts that are going to take you a super long time. Once you kind of get this system down, it's going to become second nature and pretty easy. You don't even have to think about what you're doing. You're just going to be able to know exactly what the client wants and execute it. Alright, so now we're going to be moving on to the sides. And what we're going to be doing with these sides, we're going to be doing what is called a graduation. And all that means is simply the hair towards the top of the hair is slightly longer than the hair at the bottom. This will give it that really easy flowing look, and it'll kind of groom the hair backwards naturally, so there won't be much effort for the client to get that flow back look. So as you can see, I'm taking small comb width sections, pulling them out about 2 inches to start out. That first one was our guide, so we're gonna keep on pulling sections out and over directing down to the previous section that we cut, and this will kind of ensure that we have an even cut all the way around that seamlessly flows backwards. And you'll see as we start getting to the back, you'll get to the hair that you've already cut, and that'll kind of be your stopping point. You just cut to that. And you can kind of already see how the hair is looking. Whenever we keep taking these sections, it keeps getting longer as we go back, and that's what that over direction is doing. It's creating a gradual blend backwards into longer hair while reducing weight where it needs to be taken out. This is something I want to stress to a lot of new barbers. Really try to learn a system and get that down and ingrained in your memory, so that whenever someone comes in, they ask for a cut, you don't even have to think about it. You already know what you need to do. All you need to figure out is what lengths they want in different areas. And that's a big part of the consultation, is figuring out what lengths they want. Do they want it long around the neck? Do they want it long towards the crown? How long they want their bangs, and how much hair they want on the sides. Those different things will kind of give you a good idea of what you're going to be doing in every single cut. Now we're just going to follow the same exact steps on the other side. Remember to keep these sections diagonal and just keep on over directing those sections back to the previous one you cut. Here's something you'll see me doing every time I make a section. What I do is I take my thumb and I push the comb actually through the hair. It's really my thumb that's controlling the comb and creating every section. And another thing that you'll do with your thumb is whenever you push it through the section, at the very end you can pin that strip of hair up and out of the way so you can stay clean. Alright, now we're going to move on to the top. First thing I do is I split the hair straight down the middle using the swirl as my starting point. Alright, now we're going to set our guide for the curtains in the front. And what I like to do is I'll take the hair and pull it straight down, and I'll use the cheekbone as my reference point. Most clients, if you cut it to the cheekbone, it'll pop up to around like the eye or the eyebrow level when it's dry. And we'll just continue to pull the hair straight down, cut it, and then once we get to the ear, that's when we'll start elevating the hair so that the back of the hair isn't super heavy compared to the front. The front of the hair is where we're going to have our style, and that's the hair that needs to be the longest. But when we have the hair in the back, we want that to connect into the sides and not be overly long and heavy. So you see, I just keep on lifting the hair higher as I go back. That's just going to leave us with a soft look. And we're going to repeat that on the other side. Alright, now we're going to actually cut the top. You'll see when I pull the hair up, there's a short side on each side of that peak in the middle. And all we're going to do is we're going to point that and just cut it straight across, cutting it from the shortest point to the shortest point. The reason I use point cutting is so that it gives the hair a slightly lighter look. It'll add a tad bit more texture, and that'll just kind of play into this modern flow look. And you'll see once I get to the ear area, that's when I'll start rounding the sides and take those corners off. You don't want to do that in the front because then that'll kind of take away from your curtain look. But when we start getting towards the back, we don't want the corners of their hair to be super heavy, because that's the spot that a lot of times becomes unmanageable first. Now I'm just going to throw a little bit of matte paste or matte clay into the hair and work from the roots of the hair all the way to the ends. Alright, now we're going to throw the diffuser on our hair dryer, and we're just going to work on the back of their hair and kind of scrunch it and work it in a circular motion so it dries in that bent position. Now a trick that I use to style the bangs, I'll take the diffuser and I'll kind of use it to swirl the hair in the front, and it kind of gives it that natural bent or wavy look to the hair so that it's not super straight and flat. Once you finish drying the hair, you end with this super sick look. If you want more no BS shear cutting tutorials, subscribe to the page and leave a comment on the next haircut that you want to learn how to do.